Yes, welcome to my series about making tailoring easy. We are first of all beginning with pattern drafting, which is a key component or a key department of tailoring. To produce a garment, we have to first make patterns. We are making things easier in this website or on this channel. So we are trying to simplify tailoring. We are starting with making a bodice for kids bodice. We are trying to see how to make it. So pattern making for a kids bodice, of course, you have to first take body measurements. The body measurements required are simple. You need natural waist lengths in inches if you're using imperial measurements, or in centimeters if you're using metric measurement system. So you need natural waist lengths. That's this lengths. We are calling it natural waist lengths. We mean from natural waist lengths is this measurement, if you can see, from this point here, from this point down to here. We are measuring it from the back, neck, which we call the nape, from the nape to the waist. When you look at it from the back, we call it natural waist length. It can also be called nape to waist length. So this is natural waist length, our first measurement that we need. Another measurement that we need, I need first to rub this. Another measurement that we need is measurement number 2, which we are calling X back. We call it cross back. We are even simplifying the names to make everything easier for you. We're calling it X back or cross back. That means the back measurement. Cross back. This is our back. So you measure from the tip of the shoulder to the tip of the other shoulder. We call it cross back. Remember, take note that we are doing everything for a kid. That's you measure from this tip of the shoulder to this tip of the other shoulder. So we call it cross back. That's the cross back measurement. We need that. At first we measured our natural waist length, and then now we are taking the cross back measurement. Then after the cross back measurement, we also need to measure the waist as the last measurement that we need to make a bodice pattern for a child. That's number 3, waist measurement. You measure from here, that's around the waist, from here to here, again to here. So we are measuring the round waist. So we don't measure a crossbar. Crossbar, we just start this tip to this tip. So that's half of the body. But here we measure the full body across, measure the round waist. Then we note those measurements. You need to note that we are only considering 3 measurements for simplicity, because our aim is to simplify every process. We are simplifying measuring, we are simplifying drafting, we are even simplifying sewing. But in this case, we are focusing mostly on pattern making, or which we can call pattern drafting. These 3 measurements are enough to make you draft a perfect bodice for a kid. After understanding this fully, we shall look at other measurements that we can need. If we sometimes we may need the neck, may need the bust, among others. But in this case, they are not important, because first of all, we don't need the bust, because a kid, a young child, a young boy, a young girl has not developed some chest. Young girls don't have the bust, they don't have the breast. The bust is to account for the breasts, but these are young kids, they don't have the breasts. So in case of instead of measuring the bust area, we are considering the cross back to cater for the upper part of the body. So it's the wider area. If you can check, cross back here is the widest. Sometimes cross back, some people measure, you can also measure back widths, but you measure only back width, that's from here to here, only if you have the measurements for the chest or the bust. But in this case, for a kid, we are only considering the cross back, the natural waist length, and the waist length. And actually, tailoring has order. We have order. The order we're measuring, we have to first measure the length with measurements, then we add on the width-wise measurement from an educational point of view. So that's why I have to first measure these measurements. The length-wise measurements are these measurements that I measure from up to down. So we start with that. So that's the natural waist length. After that, we are measuring the cross back, which is up, and the waist, which is down. So these are the key measurements that we need to make a bodice for a kid. So in the next tutorial, I'll show you how we can calculate these measurements to give us a proportion of a pattern that we can use as a starting point. So we shall use just these three measurements, you note them down and practice how to measure them using a tape measure. Then in the next slide or in the next tutorial, I will show you how we can use this on the cloth directly or on a paper pattern, on a drafting paper to produce our pattern. That will be the back piece pattern and the front piece pattern. So for this case, just know how to take these measurements. Only these are required for kids wear. We can measure other measurements, but because we are simplifying everything in this channel, these are enough. They can give you a perfect fitting garment for a kid, because the kid has not developed most of the parts. You find the cross back, you find the waist is actually similar to the bust because they don't have developed breasts. So we are stopping here. Thank you for learning from the start to the end. See you in the next video. Peace out. Enjoy. See you.